Once upon a time, in a mountain village wrapped in morning mist, a young man named Hiroshi rose before the sun, already exhausted. His mind crackled like a fire fed with green wood, sparks of worry about tomorrow's labor, embers of yesterday's awkward words, smoke of bills unpaid and promises unkept. He splashed cold water on his face, but the inner noise only grew louder. While others greeted dawn with calm, Hiroshi's thoughts chased one another in endless circles, a wheel that ground his spirit to dust. Night brought no relief. Dreams replayed the same anxieties in new costumes. One gray afternoon, an elder spoke of a monk who lived above the clouds, a man who neither fought thoughts nor followed them. Hiroshi's heart leapt. Perhaps this teacher held the key to silence. The next morning he tied a spare shirt into a bundle, left a note for his parents, and set off on the narrow trail that climbed toward the sky. The path rose steeply, switching back across granite spines where wind tasted of snow, even in spring. Hiroshi's legs ached, yet every step felt lighter than the paralysis he carried in his chest. After 2 nights wrapped in cedar boughs, he reached a wooden gate carved with a single circle. Inside, the temple courtyard lay quiet except for a bronze bell breathing slowly in the breeze. The monk who appeared wore simple russet robes and eyes that seemed to see through skin. Hiroshi bowed low, words tumbling out like loose stones. "Master, my mind is a battlefield. Teach me to empty it." The monk's smile held neither pity nor pride. "Come," he said, turning toward a garden where water sang over rocks. "We will not empty the river by scooping. We will learn to watch." They sat beside a stream so clear that pebbles painted the bottom like fallen petals. "Observe," the monk murmured. "Do not name, do not judge, do not chase." Hiroshi tried, but within 3 breaths his thoughts returned to the village. Did I lock the workshop? Will my brother remember to feed the goat? The harder he shoved these thoughts away, the faster they multiplied. His shoulders knotted, frustration scalded his throat. The monk placed a gentle hand on his back. The stream does not ask the leaf to vanish. It simply makes room. Breathe with me, 1, 2. When thought arrives, greet it as you would a bird landing on a branch, note its color, then let it fly. Hiroshi inhaled the scent of moss and cedar, exhaled the tightness he had carried for years. Something loosened, not by force but by permission. He noticed how water rounded every obstacle without resentment, how ripples smoothed the moment after disturbance. For the first time, he felt the gap between stimulus and reaction, a pocket of stillness where choice lives. Days slipped into weeks. Each morning, Hiroshi returned to the stream, counting breaths like beads on an invisible string. Thoughts still arrived, memories of his father's cough, the neighbor's sideways glance, the price of rice, but they no longer hijacked his spine. He saw them as ripples born from wind, doomed to fade. One afternoon, the monk led him farther up the slope to a cherry tree older than the temple itself. Spring had dressed it in blushing clouds. Petals drifted across the moss like slow snow. "Watch," the monk said. A gust shook the branches, blossoms let go without protest, spinning to earth in silent surrender. Hiroshi felt something inside him mimic that fall, an old belief that he must clutch every possibility or fail. The monk spoke softly. "The tree does not mourn its petals. It trusts the next season. Practice releasing as naturally as breathing out." Hiroshi closed his eyes, pictured worry after worry loosening from his chest, saw them settle among roots where they would compost into something fertile. When he opened his eyes, a single petal rested on his palm. He tipped his hand, and it slid off, weightless. In that motion he understood not attachment, not as rejection, but as refusing to let experience harden into identity. The real test arrived with summer thunder. Black clouds piled over the ridge like angry gods. Wind slammed shutters, rain lashed the tiled roof, and inside the meditation hall, every boom felt personal. Hiroshi's belly clenched. Childhood memories of a river flood surged back. He wanted to run, to bar the door, to control the sky. Instead, the monk gestured to the cushion. "Sit inside the storm the way mountain sits inside cloud." Hiroshi obeyed, though his knees shook. Lightning bleached the room. He counted 1, 2, feeling each flash as a thought brilliantly lit then gone. He noticed the gap between thunderclap and echo, between sensation and story. Panic rose, crested, and, because he neither fed nor fought it, ebbed into vibrating aliveness. When the storm passed, the air smelled of pine and wet stone. His mind felt rinsed, not empty of content, but empty of sticky residue. The monk smiled. You met the weather without becoming it. Seasons turned. Maple leaves flared red, then floated away. Hiroshi's practice matured into quiet discipline: chop wood, carry water, breathe, notice. Thoughts still paraded, plans for returning home, fantasies of wisdom earned, sudden pangs of longing, but he greeted each like an old neighbor passing on the path, neither inviting them to dinner nor slamming the gate. One frozen dawn the monk found him sitting beneath the cherry tree, now bare and silvered with frost. "What have you learned?" the master asked. Hiroshi hesitated, sensing the inadequacy of words. "I thought peace was silence. It is more like space, room for everything." The monk nodded. "And emptiness?" Hiroshi exhaled steam into cold air. "Not a vacuum. A field where things appear, dance, disappear, none of them mine to keep." The monk placed a hand on his shoulder. "And you are ready to walk down the mountain. Remember, the path is not a trophy, it is a verb." Ascent felt stranger than ascent. The same rocks now hid under autumn leaves, the same wind carried different news. When Hiroshi reached his village, colors looked brighter, conversations slower. He discovered he could listen without rehearsing replies, work without measuring himself against neighbors. Children soon gathered, drawn by the calm that hovered around him, like lantern light. He taught them to sit, to breathe, to notice ants carrying crumbs twice their size. Adults came later, shyly admitting sleepless nights. Hiroshi offered no miracles, only shared exercises. Count 10 breaths without rushing. When anger flashes, feel feet on floorboards. Imagine worry as a leaf on water. Observe, release. Some scoffed, but many returned, reporting small mercies. A husband's snore no longer a torture, market haggling less bruising, nights a little deeper. Years thinned his hair and silvered his temples, yet the inner weather remained navigable. He married, buried parents, planted saplings that grew into shade for village festivals. During harvest dances he joined the circle, laughter rising unforced. When grief arrived, his wife's fever, a child's stillbirth, he sat with it the way he once sat with storms, letting tears fall like petals, trusting the next season. Travelers seeking sensational secrets sometimes left disappointed. He served tea, spoke of breath, sent them onward. The true teaching, he knew, was ordinary life witnessed without armor. One spring evening, under the same cherry tree he had carried home as a sapling, Hiroshi closed his eyes, feeling the familiar brush of petals against skin. Breath flowed, 1, 2, thoughts flickered like fireflies, memories, plans, the faint ache in his left knee. He smiled at the parade, neither curator nor guard. Somewhere in the village a drum sounded, children shouted, smoke from cooking fires sweetened the dusk. He felt the boundless container holding it all, mind stream, mountain, village, sky, nothing missing, nothing extra. In that moment he understood his teacher's final unspoken lesson. Emptiness and fullness are not opposites, they are two notes of the same song. The song continued after the last visible petal fell, after breath itself. Hiroshi listened, and the listening was enough.